Thank you very much, Kim Kennedy, for being nice enough to introduce me. Thank you for all of you taking some time out of your busy day. This is a special day for myself and my family. I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here, and I don't mean I-71. I want to tell you a little bit how my family got to this place. It was over a century ago, actually, that my great-grandparents came to Ohio, and they came here because it was a place where they could find honest work to support their family, and they would be guaranteed the freedoms that they had been denied back in Ireland. And through the years, Ohio has seen its share of tough times, and my family has lived through those times. My parents grew up in the Great Depression, and they raised my 7 brothers and sisters with a certain set of values that they live by. Work hard, love your country, don't forget where you came from, and when you see something that's wrong, try to make it right. And my wife Shannon and I, whoops, you okay? My wife Shannon and I are trying to raise our 4 kids according to those same principles and values and lessons. Now, and they're here with us today, my son Jack and my son Connor and my daughters Colleen and Bridget, and we're trying to pass on We're trying to pass on those same lessons. Now, they are all teenagers, so whether they were listening or not, I don't know. Now, those traditions that I mentioned, they're not unique to my family. You were probably raised the same way. But what I can tell you is that those are the same traditions that made America great and they made Ohio great. And that's why in all of the public positions that I've held, I've taken a public oath to do my duty, but I've also made a private promise to myself to try to live up to those standards, whether it was when I was a county prosecutor or a special agent with the FBI or a councilman or a mayor or now as a county official. So back when I was a prosecutor, when I saw the most vulnerable people in our society being targeted, I tried to do something about it. And I stood up for the victims of crime. As a city councilman and as a mayor, I worked with residents and businesses to bring back neighborhoods, reduce crime, and make government work for the people again. And when I was an FBI agent in Chicago, assigned to the Organized Crime Task Force, I saw and I witnessed this. Corrupt politicians who were literally hijacking local government, siphoning off millions of dollars into their own pockets. Public officials who thought that they were above the law, that the rules did not apply to them. And I did everything I could to bring them to justice. And when I saw that same kind of thing happening in my county, I was determined to do something about it. So as my county's first county executive, I dismantled a corrupt political patronage machine that was choking our county government. We established a strict code of ethics and established an independent inspector general to enforce those rules. The people in my county had lost faith that county government could be effective and efficient and transparent and honest, and we were able to restore that faith. Now, unfortunately, since 2010, our state under Governor Kasich has been on a much different path. Oh yeah. I've watched, and so have you, as Governor Kasich has taken us down the wrong road. The pay-to-play system in state government is as bad as it's ever been, with the governor's lobbyist friends making millions. The state budget is bigger than it's ever been, but we have been stuck with the bill. The budget was balanced in large part by making one of the worst decisions possible, defunding our local schools. And what happened as a result? Teachers were laid off, class sizes increased, and in many cases, local property taxes went up. And those were taxes that hit middle-class families hardest of all. And at the same time, local government funds were raided as well, leading to cuts in police officers, firefighters, sheriff's deputies, and many, many more. And I watched, and you did too, as Governor Kasich attacked working people with Senate Bill 5, trying to divide the people of Ohio, the workers of Ohio, against each other. But we did something about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. And I also witnessed, and you did too, Governor Kasich and his allies in the legislature pass and sign into law House Bill 194, the voter suppression bill, which tried to turn back the clock and reverse decades of progress in voter rights. Now, some of his recent ideas, I have to tell you, are just as bad. His tax plan would expand sales taxes by billions of dollars to an extent never seen before in Ohio history. As Jim Rhodes once said, he wants to tax everything that walks, crawls, or flies. And as usual, poor families' taxes would go up, while millionaires would get a big tax cut. Now, the list goes on and on and on. I've been watching it happen, and so have you. And it's affecting us all in the communities that we love. So, listen, we have to ask ourselves a very basic question. Are we going to sit on the sidelines and just watch this happen?
No. No.
Or are we going to do something about it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm here today to tell you that I am going to do something about it. I'm running for governor of Ohio. I'm running because I love this state and I know we deserve better than we're getting. And we've proven that things can be run differently in my county. In my county, we reduce the size of government, we balance our budget without raising taxes, and unlike Governor Kasich, we didn't rob our schools and local communities to do it. In fact, we gave more money back to local schools and local communities. And we invested in our children. We invested in our future by expanding early childhood education and universal pre-kindergarten. And just last night, ladies and gentlemen, we became the first county in the United States to guarantee a college savings account for every single child who enters kindergarten. We also invested in our economic future by creating the largest county-based economic development fund in the state. And unlike Governor Kasich's Jobs Ohio Fund, we never claim that public money is none of the public's business. If it's your money, you have the right to it. Getting these policies right or getting them wrong isn't just about politics. It matters. It makes all the difference in the world. Ohio has one chance to get this right, to really be competitive in a global economy in the 21st century. And this governor is never going to be able to do it. And despite some bragging and some boasting by Governor Kasich that we're in the middle of what he calls an economic miracle, too many Ohioans are being left out. I've traveled across this state in the last couple months, everywhere from Lake Erie to the Ohio River. And everywhere I go, whether it's a city or a suburb or a small town, people are frustrated. They're struggling. Too many are barely hanging on by their fingernails to the middle class. The miracle that this governor keeps talking about has not trickled down to them. And their common sense tells them otherwise. And their common sense is right. Just last month, Ohio lost 20,000 jobs, more than any other state in the country. That's not a miracle, and it's not acceptable, and we can do a hell of a lot better. Young families, they worry about whether they're ever going to be able to pay off their student loans, whether the time is ever going to be right to really start a family. People are frustrated that their property taxes seem to keep going up, but their property values are always seeming to be going down. People wonder whether the financial stability that their parents had or their grandparents had is some kind of a fantasy that they will never be able to experience. And those of us that have kids wonder, as we become grandparents eventually, are our kids going to stay in this state? Or are they going to feel like they have to move out of state to find real job market and real economic possibilities? And everybody everywhere, just about everybody everywhere, is working harder, longer hours, spending more time away from their families while they're spending more money at the gas pump and the grocery store. So when the people that I talk to hear John Kasich say that the economy here is a miracle, they usually say, a miracle for who?
Yeah.
Maybe it is a miracle for the governor and some of his friends. But when you talk to the workers, the small business owners, the parents, the cops, the nurses, the firefighters, the teachers, the people that really make up the fabric of Ohio, you know that we're in need of real leadership, and we cannot afford to wait any longer. This is a tough challenge, but Ohio has shown the world before how to get things done. This is a state that knows how to invent things and build things and grow things. We're one of the world's leaders in manufacturing and technology and medicine and agriculture. So the potential is right here in Ohio. And I've seen communities turned around before when they have the right leadership. Now, I also know that the election is going to be tough. But we already know that people are on our side. Now, how do we know that? Because Ohio rejected John Kasich's extreme policies when they had a chance to vote on it in 2011 and 2012. But it's not just about ending destructive policies and negative policies. That's just step number one. We also have to believe that something better is really possible. And I do believe that. And I hope you believe that too. We can have a state that actually invests in early childhood education instead of cutting back on education. We can be a state that has a real job strategy based on local businesses that pay real living wages instead of big corporate giveaways and rip-offs. We can be a state that respects all its workers, public sector and private sector, union and non-union alike, instead of demonizing them. We can be that kind of state. We could be a state that partners with our counties and our townships and our cities and our small towns instead of using them as an ATM to balance the state budget. We could be a state that honors and treasures and respects our sacred right to vote instead of suppressing it. And we could be a state that believes women are fully equal and must have real equality when it comes to wages and healthcare choices. Most of all, ladies and gentlemen, we can be a state that has a governor who every day makes it his mission to make it easier in Ohio for families to get in the middle class and stay in the middle class. Now, I've been thinking about this race for a long time, and I am ready to run this race. Are you ready to run it with me? I was hoping you'd say that. So let's run this race. Let's run it without fear, and let's run it without tiring. Let's run this race because we run toward challenges, not away from them. Let's run this race because we know that something better is possible. Let's run this race like our heroes ran it in generations past. Let's run this race for great purposes and high ideals. Let's run this race for the poor, the overlooked, and the unlistened to, and all of those who thought the race had passed them by long ago. Let's run this race for the working people and middle-class families of Ohio who are going to be cheering us on every step of the way. Let's run this race to win, and let's run this race for the state that we love so much. Thank you.